are we doing enough today to protect the future? Are we building enough new product ideas that are making it through to maturity?
Is your environment around you changing more than your business is changing?
Yeah.
Are you keeping up with it?
So that made me think, well, hang on a minute, how many other things do we tend to not realise are happening because it's over a long time frame?
Can your company history help you make decisions?
Yeah.
Better decisions?
Have you still got legacy processes that you're still doing things the same way as you were 10 years ago and they're holding you back?
Careful not to meet your heroes, they once said.
Who's they?
The infamous they.
Oh yeah, they.
Well, we've probably mentioned this before, but for many months, many moons, I've been walking over the bridge, surveying the building sites.
You have. We've mentioned it before, actually. In fact, we've mentioned in particular your admiration for the formwork.
Yes, the formwork.
They pour the concrete inside it.
Very
niche
I'm
interest.
a man of simple pleasures. And this week, actually got to
meet your heroes.
Meet the heroes. Meet the men and women who are managing and building.
We did.
Riverside Gardens.
It is. We went over there and had a look around. We had a tour of the building site. We had to put hard hats on, and high-vis vests and everything.
I bought my own steel toe cap boots in.
Did you?
Keen.
Especially.
I did feel a bit keen.
Did you feel like you're bringing an apple for teaching?
Yeah.
Hey, sir, look, I've got steel toe cap boots. Look at me.
Yeah, all the kit.
But we had a little look around the building site. It was really interesting.
That's fascinating.
And
I love that stuff.
For something as simple you would think as building a park in the middle of a town centre, you then think, flipping out, all that extra stuff there to do. Because for those that don't know Shrewsbury, we flood quite a lot, and the soil where it is reclaimed land. So how many different piles did they have to all go down into the ground just to put a plinth on to have a picnic table on the top? It's quite
crazy.
Amazing stuff, isn't it?
I don't think that one had any plinths on, actually.
No. But they were climbing boulders. And entrance feature gateways and a lift shaft and seating and they had to work out how do fire engines get in for whatever gets built afterwards and how do they
They're doing a lot of stuff around the history of the site as well. They go to the archives, he said, every week to find that out.
To interpret.
So he said if anyone has any stories about Frankwell.
Yeah, so the whole area around the whole Park Lane nightclub and...
Well, I've got a few stories from there.
I don't think we're one of them.
Few stories.
We'd have to change the rating on the podcast if you start talking about those.
And
not suitable for all audiences.
Well, my family grew up in the Frankwell mob.
And yeah, I remember you saying your grandmother used to run a pub, didn't she, wasn't it? Or over the road from the pub?
Over the road from the pub. My mum was born there in Frankwell, in one of the houses.
Little Borough is the nickname for Frankwell, isn't it? That's why the fish and chip shop's called that. That used to be what the...
Apparently it was an area of ill repute for a while as well.
Well, I think our road was as well. It had 3 brothels in it back in the cattle market days. Farmers used to come to town, sell the cattle, visit the brothel, go to the pub, go in with nothing left. Do it all again next week. Anyway, that's drifted a little bit.
Do you think that's where they got the phrase from, they got fleeced?
But
You're after a dad joke.
Yeah, that's not even a dad joke. That doesn't even raise to the...
Well, my latest dad joke thing is in our family WhatsApp group, I put emojis, laughing emojis on my own comments. And it drives the kids insane. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
This is like laughing at your own jokes. I get told off by my kids for putting full stops in text messages.
Okay.
Apparently it's very aggressive.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Apparently you shouldn't do that. It's aggressive.
Oh, right.
It's just normal sentence
structure. It's just grammar.
Using capital letters and everything is all very out of vogue. Anyway, we
digressed.
Drifted a bit. We've digressed. We should help our audience to another portion of the podcast, don't you think?
Yes.
Let's do that. Hello and welcome to another episode of the SME Growth Podcast from Wellmeadow, where every week we try and come up with something useful or interesting for owners and managers of small and medium-sized enterprises, businesses, organisations, whatever you want to call them. Welcome and thank you to all of you for coming and listening in again. We are at
170.
We're at episode 170, which I'm reliably told is the highest, what do they call it, checkout? Darts finish.
Was it checkout? Oh, yeah. Was it called Big Fish or something? Was it?
And it's called the something fish.
Something fish.
Maybe the big fish. 2 triple 20s and a bullseye. That's it. We'll stop talking about that now because 170 is the highest.
Yes, go on.
We need another
End of an era.
We need another, yeah.
End of an era.
We're closing in on the big double century, the 2 ton. So we need another thing to talk about whiffle nonsense around about the number. But anyway, episode 170, and I'm here with Rich, as ever. Well, not as ever, actually. We've had a run of guests.
Yeah.
Anyway,
some
and you're
really
going to tell us.
Some good ratings there.
You're going to tell us, who were the last 3 episodes? I think we had a lot of guests.
So 167, Sailing Around the World, Leadership Lessons with Ian Herbert-Jones.
Ian Herbert-Jones, he's brilliant. And if you haven't found it yet, look up the film on YouTube for The Loneliest Race in the World. It's harrowing. And, boats sinking in the South Atlantic.
That sort of stuff just, Yeah.
Anyway, that's Ian talking about selling software, running startups and sailing around the world. Sailing and team. Selling.
Which wasn't Jim, Steve
Arnold. He was also a software salesman and sailed a boat across the Atlantic which sank.
Yeah. So if you know someone who's in software sales and offers to get you, take you on a boat trip,
and knows Dave,
basically the omens do not read
surely,
well.
if you did statistical analysis on that, not good.
Wow.
So
there we go. So
if you're selling and you want to go sailing, don't meet me.
Yeah.
That's the common link. So that was 3 episodes ago.
That was 167. So 168, the Worker Protection Act, What Employers Need to Know, with Andrea Miller.
Andrea Miller, who came in, used to be of this parish, as they say, and she now runs her own show, Czar HR. I always think it's confident if you start your business name with a Z.
Yeah, that's
you're not in the yellow pages.
You don't need the yellow pages.
We don't need alphabetical order to help us. I'm so good. People start at the bottom and work up. We weren't quite that confident.
You might start at the back, isn't it?
Well, we were W for well meadow. We weren't as confident.
Yeah, but I think what we did was we worked out the average width of a thumb. And when you open it at the back, pages. You open it at WE.
See, up here for thinking, down there for dancing. So that was Andrea Miller, previously of this parish, on a very serious subject. There was a study back in 2020 on sexual harassment in the workplace, and that led to new laws which came into force in October 24, which extended the Equalities Act. And in ways that perhaps not all businesses are yet aware, but you have to be proactive about stuff. So that was interesting. Go and check that one out if you're not up to speed on that.
And then 169 was, is your business sleepwalking into a crisis? And we're both looking at each other going, what was that about?
I think that was about lead indicators.
That was it.
I didn't know that's what it was called. No. I would have called that something about use lead indicators to run your business. But clearly I'm not creative enough and I haven't played the algorithms to get YouTube to favour us.
Yeah, so that was our lead indicator episode.
So that was about the fact that most companies are aware of the P&L. They might look as far upstream as order intake, but what about even further upstream? So quote values, value opportunities. And all
that brings us to today. So whereas we were looking sort of forward with the lead indicator in mind, today we're looking backwards. Remembering what happened in the past. Can your company history help you make decisions?
Yeah.
Better decisions, probably.
What was that phrase? The history's in the past, the future's a mystery, and
history is normally in the past, yeah.
and the now is the present, or whatever. That's a quote.
I've just got that song, just a little bit of history repeating, going through my head.
Well, keep it in your head, please. Yeah. It's safer there.
That's the only bit I know.
Lots of things are safer in your head than out, so leave them in.
That's true.
So we decided that having had a forward-looking episode, this isn't quite a backward-looking episode. It's how do you use the backward-looking to look forward? Is that contorting it too much? It's all about the history of your company, or taking a more longer-term, longitudinal view of performance and happenings. And I don't know what triggered it. I was in the car the other day driving to a client, and it was triggered by something or other. I think I was expecting there to maybe be a certain topic discussed in the board meeting that I feared we'd been talking about for many years. And I knew it to be the case. We always talk about this thing. So I went back and looked up the board minutes from exactly 10 years ago, April 2016.
Wow.
And I just thought, that'd be interesting. I wonder whether we talked about the same sort of stuff. And what jumped out actually wasn't that topic. It was how well we'd done that month, and it quoted the sales number for the month, the invoice number for the month. And when I read it all out, everybody had a chuckle because it seemed out of context completely with what people expected. My good, that was a good number. If we did that, so that'd be a flipping disaster. Yeah. But of course, inflation has done its trick over 10 years, and we've had some very high inflation years, haven't we? So it was all about trying to get that longer-term view of what was good then. And we looked up how many people there were as well, and it's almost exactly the same number of people So then we started looking at, well, has the turnover actually grown or not in real terms?
Yeah.
What about costs? And where's margin? And all these discussions cropped up.
Prompted discussion.
Yeah. So that made me think, well, hang on a minute. How many other things do we tend to not realise are happening because it's over a long time frame? You've heard the boiling a frog metaphor, haven't you? That frog doesn't realise if it all happens slowly. And I think that's what happens in a lot of businesses, that over time things happen slow enough that if you just take that, what was last month's performance, where are we year to date type of view, you miss some of these longer term things. So I thought, well, there we go. Let's give some credit to the company archivist who's kept all of these records for you.
Archivist. I heard an interesting quote this week as well, which was, if the rate of external change is greater than the rate of internal change, disaster is imminent.
Yeah, and you're losing pace.
And I quite like that. So again, I sort of tied in with this.
Yeah.
How are you? Are you changing? Is your environment around you changing more than your business is changing?
Yeah.
Are you keeping up with it? And some of that is about looking forward, but some of it is about making sure that...
That's allied to one of my other favourite little phrases, which is, if the pain of change is not higher than the pain of staying the same, then you won't change.
Really good. Do you ever get asked to do things for like Christmas crackers? Company slogan, brand work.
If the pain of staying the same.
And if anyone needs a new strapline or anything, you know where to come.
I think you know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, something like that.
You need to go
to
less pain.
It was painful anyway, yeah.
The pain of this quote is big enough to move on. Okay, so we thought we'd break it up into some sections, and only for ease of anything, we've gone for 4 Ps.
4 Ps.
Nothing to do with marketing at all. People, products, pricing, and processes. So we'll just think about that. I'm actually tempted to start on the pricing bit because we mentioned the financials there. So first question, have your prices kept up with inflation since, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever? And I know for a sake ours haven't.
True, yeah.
And I think that's because we had a couple of years of very high inflation, and we thought, actually, that's, I don't know.
I think certain things certain services, the prices have gone up quite a lot, actually.
I think more so as we've moved into different markets and realised different things, you're right. But for the same thing, on a like-for-like basis, certainly for a while anyway. And I wonder if you were to challenge your business, if you're listening, and ask yourself, just use the normal RPI or CPI escalator, ask Google, ask ChatGPT, whatever, turn a price from 10 years ago into today's value and see whether it's gone up. So that's one thing, very simple thing to do. Have your prices kept up with inflation?
I had a this similar conversation in a supermarket with Mrs. Buckle last night, actually.
Only last night?
And we were looking at some mints, and I was looking at a packet of lamb mints, which now, to keep the price at about the £5 mark, you get about 240 grams of lamb mints.
Are we talking about shrinkflation?
Shrinkflation. So what's your pack sizes, people? Top tip there for supermarket.
Low pack butter, only 200 grams now instead of 250.
Yeah.
And it's phenomenally expensive.
Make your own butter.
So I'll make my own butter now. You got me onto that. You got your butter churner for Christmas. I bet you haven't used it yet, have you?
I've used it once. I only use it to make specialty butter, but it's actually more expensive to make it yourself, but it's probably tasty.
I don't think it is. I think if you get the double cream from the Co-op on members special,
I see.
Members special price, then I reckon it's cheaper.
Okay.
Depends what you're comparing it to. If you're comparing it to the Muller Dairy unsalted or the Aldi special.
I did buy a £3 bottle of milk the other day. It was delicious. Had the cream at the top, unpasteurised, unhomogenised milk.
Guernsey milk.
So good.
No, Jersey, isn't it? Jersey.
Anyway, I'm talking about pricing.
Yeah, so pricing. Have your prices kept up with inflation? That's the first one. And then maybe look at your margins, because that will tell you whether your prices have kept up with your costs, right?
Yeah.
So if your margins have increased, you may have had a richer mix and moved to a different market, but on a like-for-like basis, that means your prices have at least kept up. If your margins have drifted downwards, chances are your costs are going up faster than your prices, right? Yeah. Mix and markets aside. So that's a good one. Maybe have a look at market pricing as well. If you don't always have full access to that, you may not have historical records for it, but you may have picked up intel in the past and kept it on your CRM. I'm sure you were all using CRMs 10 years ago. Not. And then see whether you've got any intel on that. Maybe look at the financial records of some of your competitors going back 10 years. If they're big enough, they'll be reporting margins. So just do that. And the other one is maybe look at average revenue per client. So rather than overall turnover, because you may have grown the number of clients, right? Maybe volume increase. just have a look at whether the revenue per client has kept pace with inflation. So that's that. And then just look at cycles. We all look at annual cycles quite regularly, but try and have a look at a 10 or 20 year cycle. Are we fitting the recession boom bust cycle? Are we in lag? There was a construction company we worked with a little while ago, and I think it was during the 2008 financial crash, and they were going bananas, and they carried on for 2 or 3 years. And it's because all the projects that had been started right up to and including the crash they were carrying on. But then everything dried up, and their recession happened 3 years after 2008, but over in 2011. So it's worth looking at that longer term view. I've just looked it up, by the way. If you go back 10 years, then £100 10 years ago is worth £140 today. So 40% over 10 years. So ask yourself, has our turnover gone up by more than 40% in 10 years? Have our prices gone up by that? Has our revenue per client gone up by that? So that's what I wanted to think about on pricing. Do you think that's useful? That'd be interesting to reflect. Go on then, let's pick another area entirely.
People,
yeah.
People. Do you see, I suppose this is, I suppose this is maybe one of the easy ones, because you always look back and think about certain people that have worked in the business, don't you? Good or bad. Yeah,
but you probably pick on the individual that you remember. I wonder if, and we haven't done this, but if you went back over the last 10 years and maybe looked at average tenure, how long do people stay with you for? Has that increased or decreased? Are there waves where people all leave in bunched up periods? Is that due to anything? Is it due to something external perhaps, or a competitor activity? And when I was researching this, there was a strong thought that you could probably link it to things internally. So is it because your company wasn't doing financially as well, so people thought that they'd go for something else more secure? Or maybe a key manager changed? And you could get really deep down, drill down onto that one and say, well, have we got higher levels of turn over a 10-year period for people that have been trained better in management techniques, for example, and those that are not, or those that are good at their job hands-on as opposed to hands-off managers, all that sort of stuff. So I thought that was quite interesting.
I think people issues is another one, isn't it? I always used to have a rule around, well, still do really, around if you talk about someone in a board meeting for, more than a certain amount of time in a certain number of consecutive board meetings.
That's a red flag.
Writing's on the wall.
Yeah, well, that's probably true. Yeah, it shouldn't be taking up in too much airtime, should it, in a negative way? So trying to work out over the long term, have we got any correlations there? Have we got any spikes there? I think also there's this, we've talked before, haven't we, about the 7 Ages of Man episode and the stages of the company, where you've got very strong founder-led cultures. As they go through the transitions, can you tell where those transitions are for your company? And you can't tell that looking at 1 year in isolation. So over a 10-year period, does it look as if we're rising to a ceiling? Are we plateauing and we need a breakthrough moment?
I think as well, what we've seen as well in our company and as well as others is the recruit ahead of the curve of demand. And, what lessons can you learn from that? So do you wait, or do you, we've had periods where we've had more capacity than we needed. And then sometimes that works out because all of a sudden, you've got loads of work because you anticipated it. Back to your lead indicators, isn't it? It's kind of
that's an investment if you're putting the cost in before the demand.
Or do you wait for the demand and then
scrabble
and see what you can do, kind of thing,
evenings,
So those sorts of things, and what lessons can you learn from that? Looking back to say, okay, well, that, and maybe as well, I think with all these things, looking back, what worked. We talked about this when we were talking about I was going to say 6-box model, but it's not the 6-box model. It's the lean startup.
The lean startup, Eric Rice,
which was written 25 years ago. And the principles, while some of them remain, the environment has very much changed.
The 1 penny Google ad click.
So I think sometimes looking back at these things, you've got different context as well, just to consider, isn't it?
Yeah.
Around people, you've got different employment rights, you've got different culture, attitudes to work, those sorts of things.
Well, and with the national living wage changes really accelerating in the last 5 years, maybe, perhaps it's longer than that. This is another reason why you should go back and look at this stuff, because we sort of misremember some things, don't we? And I saw a courtroom drama the other day, I'm sure you may have picked it up, where the barrister character was explaining that your memory plays tricks on you and you end up with false memories quite easily. Because if you misremember something once, it's the new misremembered fact that gets lodged in as the original fact. It overlays it. So you only ever remember the most recent version you can recall of a certain fact. So as soon as somebody else might suggest, maybe you've got hazy memory, someone else, you think they've confirmed your memory, but it's wrong, that then becomes in your mind a very solid fact and your recollection of it. So this is what happens when we try and just remember backwards.
Yeah.
You know, we've all got records, and hopefully as very good directors all listening to this, they will have kept records for 10 years like the Companies Act tells them to. Once again, maybe. But if you've got records, look back at them and maybe get someone to do this.
Well, and now it's easier than ever to do that with AI, isn't it? So we've done that before. It's coming. It's coming.
On that one. This is
well, it was either that or I was going to make a comment that so I wasn't actually an Alaskan fisherman then on your barrister thing. Totally misremembered that one. I could live an entirely different life, couldn't I?
You could.
I just got to tell myself. That was this is an interesting factoid, or not fact. So you know, is it Chris Christie who was he was mates with Trump? I think he was the new Attorney General, wasn't he?
Oh, was he? Right. Okay.
So anyway, he was on Instagram the other day. I think he's now doing the rounds a little bit. I don't know if there's a bit of manoeuvring going on. But he said he got invited to Donald Trump's, apparently Milana was away. So he said, so him and his wife turned up to this dinner. Trump didn't want to have dinner alone. And he said, Chris Christie was saying, he said to his wife, Trump said, if you tell a lie enough, it becomes true. And so that's almost a spin, isn't it? It was Joseph Goebbels, that propaganda said, you know, tell enough a lie, eventually people believe it.
It sounds like 1984, George Orwell.
Yeah, so it wasn't
Mystery of Truth.
It wasn't that eventually people believe it just because, you know, you've told them enough times and you've drilled them into it.
Yeah.
It was, in Trump's mind, it actually becomes true.
Well, I can imagine.
Which is
why he solved so many wars, right? Yeah. And why he's going to get the Nobel Peace Prize.
So if you just tell yourself this stuff,
2027, and he's just been given the Nobel Peace Prize, then you can laugh at us now.
So maybe that's what's going on in his mind. He's just making these false memories that things have happened.
Well, I mean, let's just not get into the whole Trump bashing thing. We could alienate some of our listeners, I'm sure, because everybody is entitled to their own opinion.
Well, I'm just saying, you could create a whole other world for yourself here, people.
Yeah.
Delusional.
I'm not sure where that related to the people section of our longitudinal view. A nice distraction.
Yeah. It was one of those things where maybe it's a false memory. Maybe I didn't even watch it, but it was. As I listened to it, I thought, yeah, that's a good one.
Okay.
Good thing to raise in the podcast.
I would look into that. And the other one on people, I would say, is taking the long-term view again. Have a look at things like, when did we take on more apprentices, and did that help us with maybe product development or efficiency gains later on? When did we seem to get rid of all of our marketing and training costs because we were in a cost cutting? And many years later, did that show up as a problem? You know, it's all those sort of things, very long term. And you don't even have to go that long term to draw the link between maybe cutting investment in some of your brand stuff, brand awareness stuff, and when you get some impact come through in reduced leads. So anyway, that's the people side.
Well, I think as well, just quickly to add in, there's always maybe a bit. I remember speaking to a guy I know who had a business quite successful, sold it, and he said there was always these golden years when the team was a certain size. Yeah. And you know, maybe that's just nostalgic looking back.
No, that's the thing.
But that's a.
I always describe that as the railway carriage problem. That the railway gets increasingly efficient as you add more passengers in, because the train and the carriages cost the same until you need another carriage. Yeah, it's kind of an investment paradigm, isn't it? And adding that next carriage on suddenly costs a lot of money, but there's only one passenger in it, and so on. So I think that's true of businesses. They get to a bit of a sweet spot, and the received wisdom is you've got to keep growing all the time, and we advocate that quite a lot. I get it. But punching through that comfortable, quite profitable, easy bit to the uncomfortable bit just to get through to the sunnier uplands beyond is very, very difficult. Takes some very brave decisions. So so all sorts of interesting people-related longitudinal studies there as to whether you might be able to get your HR department on that one. Products. Now, I had this discussion. I was in that client the other day. I won't tell you that. It's a fascinating client, brilliant product range. They may be listening, and I'm in awe of all the stuff they've done. They've got a very strong founder, CEO, who's the brains behind, or the inspiration behind lots of their product development, which is great. And some of those things are now earning phenomenal money because they've really hit the spot in the market. But if you look back over time of all their products, some have clearly been more successful than others. And I was asking them, because I've not been working with them for that long, what's new coming through at the moment, and how many failures did they have in the past, and all that. Because some of the stuff making them good money now would have been developed 10 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe, sometimes more. So I was thinking, the product maturity curve, where you have introduction, growth, maturity, decline. So I'm sure everyone can imagine what that graph looks like, so upside down bathtub. And so if you imagine a graph with the years along the bottom, and every new product development starts on that bottom axis, and how far it goes through the upside down bathtub will vary. So some might have a tiny little spur, they get introduced, barely go anywhere, and then they just stop. Others may grow a bit and never quite make it to maturity. Others, a long time ago, grew to maturity and they're still at maturity, flatlining. Others came and went and they've declined. So you can almost imagine a graph with lots of these overlaid lines on it. And I wanted to I couldn't get it out of the conversation. Clearly, I need more data and more time to collate it. But I'd love to be able to tell the story of that company, which is very product-led, by drawing all of these overlaid lines on it. And then taking this longitudinal view, are we doing enough today to protect the future? Are we building enough new product ideas that are making it through to maturity? Or have we decided to cost-cut the design department, the R&D department? Or are we just trusting that mature products will be mature forever? So I thought that's what triggered this thought around the products anyway. Are we doing enough at the front end of the pipeline?
I guess R&D spend and things like that as well ties into all that, doesn't it? We used to do a lot of R&D. What it was, R&D, tax credit relief stuff.
Back when that was all the rage.
Back when that was rage.
That seems to have calmed down a bit these days. I think HMRC are getting a bit tougher on that, aren't they? But you can't get R&D for making a new cocktail recipe anymore. No. But believe me, folks, it did happen. Scary thought. But yeah, R&D generally. And how much are we investing in all that stuff?
Yeah.
And even if you don't really account for it, it could be like you and I just deciding on a new thing. Six-box model didn't come from nowhere, right? We designed that. That was a bit of R&D. It became a way of framing our services, and we've done a whole podcast series on it. Well, that took time out from delivery or selling to develop. And there'll be another one come along at some point. So maybe that's just another point of reflection for companies. What's the product life cycle?
Product ideation.
How much you're doing, and have you got any products in there which maybe had problems 10 years ago, didn't do well, but are worth re-energizing? Maybe their time has come.
Yeah, that was it,
There's all sorts of products that were brilliant products just at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Apparently, YouTube was a classic example of being something like the 100th video streaming service that came about. It was just one of many, but it just happened to arrive when broadband hit mainstream in the USA, so it was usable, so that was the one that succeeded.
And then iPhones as well, wasn't it, I think?
iPhones, it wasn't the first MP3 player, it wasn't the first...
No, but for YouTube, so you could actually watch it on your device, so you had a device to watch it on.
Yeah, well, I was thinking even the MP3 player, the iPod, let's say, there were other MP3 players before it. And the iPod wasn't just about the fact that it was a neat interface. It happened at the right time. Streaming of music and all that sort of thing was going on. Yeah.
So again, it's just dusting off some of those old ideas.
Yeah.
What worked, what didn't.
You often hear the phrase, don't you? It's an idea before its time. Just good idea, wrong timing. So maybe go back through your archives and maybe products that you've killed off, have another go at.
Yeah.
Just a thought. So that was around products. And then processes. Now, see, when I first thought about processes, I was thinking very specifically about the board meeting process, because we do so many board meetings. And that's why I had that story about looking at the minutes from 10 years ago. And I'm really tempted to do this now as I go around the next months with the board meetings and just do it as a little party trick. By the way, 10 years ago, we said this. Ha-ha. We've still got the same problem. Or, haha, look, we fixed that. That seems, we fixed that ages ago. And
that wouldn't be a problem now, or we'd solve that differently, or we'd do these things differently.
And give yourself credit for things you fixed.
Well, I think that's something that people don't do. And I think that's this whole part of the point of looking backwards like this, is I think because we get, familiarity breeds contempt, doesn't it? So we get to a situation and we think, right, this is now the steady state, or, we're growing or whatever, but this is the now, and you actually probably don't give yourself enough credit. If you actually went back a few years, you'd say, well, my goodness, we've developed this, we've done this, we've got this now, we're in these markets, these products, we're using this technology, we're doing this. There's loads of these things that, because they happen incrementally, that we're we take them for granted, I think, until we actually stop and reflect and look back and actually give yourself some credit for going, well, we've moved something forward massively.
Yeah. There was an anecdote the other day I heard about this. Think of I don't know if you can remember, when you used to have to apply for your driving license. Do you remember? Or a passport.
Yeah.
You had to get photographs taken at the local booth in Smith's. Yeah. You had to get a local doctor or something to sign the back of it to validate it was you. You then had to go to the post office with a postal order and apply for it. And then you had to wait for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it was. Now you just go online and you submit it all online, push a few buttons. In fact, I had to renew a driving license, every 10 years. They've already got your photo. If you haven't changed, you click a few buttons, it comes about 3 days later. And we're sort of taken it for granted. It's almost like that boiling a frog thing. All these improvements to our lives have been so incremental that we don't shout from the rooftops about how much easier it is today to do all these things. We can send payments to each other and receive them within a minute on Bax or whatever. Yeah. That used to take 3 days through a clearing bank. Yeah. So we just, and let alone email and internet and everything else. Yeah. So in your business, what is it now that you should give yourselves credit for? How much quicker can we design things, get quotes out, produce invoices, produce the management accounts, all that stuff. And then conversely, what hasn't improved? Why is it still taking us 3 weeks to produce management accounts? Yeah. Or whatever.
Whatever it is.
Or 10 weeks to design a thing or whatever it may be. So that's what prompted me to think about that. But then the other process bit, I suppose, is are we actually incrementally improving? Can we actually measure productivity in a way that shows gradual improvement? Or is it no better than just inflation adjusted about the same?
Revenue per head count, isn't it?
Yeah, revenue per head. We used to measure that for a client, didn't we? In fact, I was at a client the other day where they resurfaced that again. And it's hard to measure between businesses, especially if there's a material content in revenue. Yeah. So if you strip the material purchases out, the value added or contribution or whatever you call it, what would be a good number? Yeah. And if you can do 100 grand a head, perhaps depending on your fixed cost structure or more, some recruitment consultancies that we know do 200, 250 grand a head. Pretty amazing stuff, really.
But yeah, so it's like looking at those processes. And I think what you say, like looking at saying what has improved, but also what are we still doing the same? And maybe you don't have to look back 10 years. What we're doing that we were doing a year ago. Yeah. Back to that quote: if the rate of external change is greater than the rate of internal change, disaster is imminent. And the rate of external change is, well, it's not quite exponential, but it's pretty massive.
Well, it's the thing about exponential, isn't it? When you're on an exponential curve, backwards looks flat and forward looks vertical. Yeah. All the time. That's just the nature of exponential curves. And you never feel like you're on one. Yeah. Because humans can't predict round corners. And yet we're on all sorts of Moore's law type curves. Yeah. And maybe the last thought on that is, have you still got legacy processes that you're still doing things the same way as you were 10 years ago and they're holding you back? Are you still submitting your expense claims on paper and filling in timesheets and whatever it is, all these systems we have?
Sorry.
Hey, I like that. That's your ringtone from Saffron. Is she going to join us on the call?
I'm just on the podcast, just doing the podcast. I'll be with you in 2 minutes.
Just been broadcast live to the nation.
Sorry about that, viewers.
I don't think Saffron expected to star in this week's.
Well, I'll tell you, that's a backwards looking thing because I always have my phone on silent. And what I've forgotten for this episode, because this is a recent development, is because I was never answering the phone, I've had to put an exception in for Mrs. Buckle.
So she had to appear on this week. Your wife is on the phone.
Oh, yeah, so a bit of Beastie Boys in there. Right. And so if I could look backwards now, I'd probably leave my phone outside the room.
Too late. Anyway, thanks for that star appearance, Saffron. I'm going to close with an apology to my son, who's absolutely going to berate me for not remembering the Kung Fu Panda quote that I tried to garble earlier on. That yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a gift, which is why it's called the present. Why didn't I remember that? Kung Fu Panda, classic.
Kung Fu Panda, yeah.
There you go. So look backwards to help you look forwards.
Yep.
I wonder
what can you learn?
I wonder what this week's title will be, because we'll forget what we just spoke about. In fact, we should look back at some old podcasts.
Not too far back.
Yeah, don't go too far back. We learnt a lot.
But but again, it is, in all seriousness, there is you can see how far you've come with it, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
So
and celebrate that.
Celebrate that. Celebrate the wins.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening all the way through another episode. That was episode 170 of the SME Growth Podcast from us here at Wellmeadow. Hope you enjoyed it. If you think that might trigger a few thoughts for somebody, then flick them a link or tell them in the pub or whatever. And in the meantime, good luck with your business.